All right, everybody. Appreciate you all joining us this evening, and wanted to take the opportunity just to say how much we appreciate you all having interest in the Tennessee Agricultural Enhancement Program, and glad that you have joined us to learn a little bit more. So this is actually the second webinar that we've held today. We had one earlier for a lot of the vendors and equipment dealers and suppliers, co-ops, other retail opportunities that many of you all might choose. We've met with them as well to help give them some of this information. So appreciate y'all joining us. We're going to try to keep this within the hour. But I wanted to let you all know that there is an opportunity for you to chat with us and ask questions in the chat. And you can do that if you look across the top of your screen, at least on mine at least. There is an icon that says chat, and if you'll click on that, it'll open up the chat over here on the side for you. And when you have that availability, you can type questions in. We've got a few folks with us this evening from the department. Many of these folks, you may recognize their name, you may not recognize their face. Doesn't look like anybody has their camera on but me, and that's okay. But we have Jan Keyser is with us tonight, and she is the director, administrator. I don't know her exact title other than she's just the queen of TAEP. And she is joining us tonight as well as her staff. So with her is also Rachel McKee Taylor, Ryan Betzelberger, and Dan Bond. And so they are going to be monitoring the chat and keeping up with questions that come through there. If we have enough questions that we can't answer all of them in the time that we've allotted, we can post the answers to those questions, especially if they're common questions that we would kind of consider to be frequently asked questions. If we see a pattern developing, we can do that. But we're going to try to do our best to answer as many of those questions in the chat as we possibly can. We also have a couple other special guests with us tonight as well. So our commissioner, Dr. Charlie Hatcher, is with us, and Commissioner Hatcher and I joke quite often. Sometimes we think we should quit our jobs and just apply for all of the cost share opportunities that we supply at the department. But he has been with the department for quite some time. Previously was our state veterinarian, and I did want to give him a chance to give some opening remarks. Also with us tonight is our Deputy Commissioner, Jeff Aiken. Many of y'all will know Jeff, recognize Jeff as well. And I don't know if he wants to make any comments or not, but Commissioner Hatcher, I'd turn it over to you and let you kick us off.
Okay, can you hear me okay, Andy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I do. Maybe one day I can take advantage of ag enhancement. I never have. So I've been around long enough from the early beginnings, but it's the best producer cost share program in the United States, and a lot of states are really jealous of that. We try to make continual improvement to the program based on feedback from the advisory group and stakeholders everywhere throughout the state, including some vendors as well. And if I think back to the early beginnings, if you think back to the Ken Gibbon days and Stratton Bone with the early beginnings of it, we would have, way back then, we would have paper application ag enhancement days at feed stores and co-ops, and the TDA staff would be there. And I know there could be some angst about this online application situation that we've got, where we're trying to move to that. And the reason we're trying to move to that is for efficiency and real-time data, so that we can be better. And we use that data when we talk to lawmakers and governors and things like that to retain the program, and also maybe try to get some more money as we go. So that's the reason for that. And Andy will go over this, but he's got a exhaustive list of locations where you can go for online application assistance, with emails and phone numbers, and the list of locations everywhere about that. So I'll stop there, but we're so grateful for the producers in this state, and we're so grateful to the lawmakers and the governor's support of this program. So I don't know, is Jeff on, Andy?
Jeff is on. Yes, sir.
I don't know if he wants to make any comments or not.
So I really don't, but I will real briefly say, Commissioner, you call it the premier program in the country, and I agree. I think it is, and I think part of what makes it that is the producer input that comes about through the committee that is put together to offer guidance for the program, but also because the commissioner, deputy commissioner, assistant commissioner, and many of the team are also farmers and really, I think, have a grasp of what the needs of our farmers across the state are. And I hope those on the call realize that our heart is in trying to make it the best program and the best operated program for everybody involved. So glad to see so many on here to learn more about the program tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And that comment about having folks in leadership positions at the department that are farming, I think is very important because it helps us to be able to see maybe with a little more clarity the issues that the farm community across the state is facing, and we try to pivot and make sure that we can address those needs as best as possible. And I'll have to admit that I had to leave here, go back home, get some feed ground, and get back here in time for the meeting. And I was a little bit nervous about that at one point. So, but thankfully I've made it back. So we'll go ahead and get started. We have a bunch of people on here, and it really makes me proud, and I appreciate you all joining us. I am going to share my screen and go through a couple of items here, specifically based on the website that we have. And just kind of as a general rule, want to make sure that everybody kind of hears this clearly. Pretty much any question that you could ever imagine relative to the Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program is going to be right here on this website. And we've tried to design this website in a way that it's user-friendly, that it's intuitive, and that you don't have to wade through a lot of information really that's not applicable to you. And I'll try to walk through that as carefully and strategically as possible so that we hit the high points and we don't have to wade through a lot of information that may not be applicable to you. And so, again, I would just like to give credit. I think it would be remiss of me not to give credit to Jan and her staff. They took what you all know is a very sizable, very thick book, and they've put all that information and actually quite a bit more online. And they've done that over the last several weeks in addition to our staff within public affairs. And just want to say that we appreciate those folks. Some of those folks are joining us this evening. So I think it's important for us to start with the basics of the program. And this is the landing page that you're going to come to if you look up, and I meant to go here first. So if you just want to go in and you want to search Tennessee Ag Enhancement, it will show up pretty quickly, actually. So if you just start typing in there, you'll pull this website up, and you're going to go directly to this landing page right here that we're on. And on here is really the kind of the starter pack of all the most important information relative to the TAEP program. But before we delve off into this, I want to go to the Tennessee Ag Enhancement page for the overview, just to make sure that all of us are clear about what is the Tennessee Agricultural Enhancement Program. So this is a program that was instituted in 2005, and it was intended to provide cost share dollars for agriculture producers for the purpose of making long-term investments on Tennessee farms and in communities. So we feel like we have maintained the spirit of this program over the last nearly 20 years, which is kind of amazing to think that the program has been in existence that long. And this is really focused on doing a few things. It's to try to allow producers to maximize farm profits, adapt to changing market situations, improve safety, increase farm efficiency, and to make a positive economic impact on communities. Those of us who work in the department have been tasked by Governor Lee to really focus on at-risk and distressed counties. Actually, that's what the map is right here that you see taped to my wall. We try to make sure that we focus on those counties that are economically distressed and economically at risk. And we know that in every one of those at-risk and distressed counties, you'll find two things. You'll find agriculture and you'll find forestry. And those are the two most important industries to us. And those industries, when combined, create the largest industry in the state of Tennessee with a $89-90 billion impact in the state of Tennessee. So when Governor Lee talks about how important agriculture is to Tennessee, both to the folks that live in town and the folks that live out of town, he is sincere in his thoughts about agriculture. And not only is the governor, but also the General Assembly very, very supportive of this program to the tune of several $1 million a year. And so when you look at these statistics here, more than $267 million has been invested in over 86,000, almost 87,000 producer projects from 2005 to 2023. We chartered a study from University of Tennessee at Knoxville a few years back, and it showed that for every dollar that we invested, there's about $6.55 in local economic opportunity that was created. So I can't go through all the details and I can't go through all the fact sheets that we have available, but I want to let you all know that's the basis of this program. That's the purpose for which we're here. And we take this very seriously, and we want to do these things. We want to fulfill these as best we possibly can. So I'm going to go back up here to the landing page, and I want to cover just a few things with you. So we need to focus on a couple of different areas so that everybody can have a full understanding of what the expectations are for this year's application. And one of the ways we want to do that is to make sure that everyone is informed about where are opportunities that you can receive help if you have difficulty or if you have any concern about applying. So if you look on this, again, on this main landing page, what we have here is we have an application assistance. We're actually going to copy this webinar, and it'll also be placed here if you need to come back and reference anything as well from this call. So if we look here at this tab, and everywhere you see one of these little arrows and you see something written beside it, in my opinion, these are the cheat sheets that you really can focus on, and it's going to provide a lot of information for you. This particular one shows a list of all of the application assistance opportunities that are available across the state of Tennessee. And as of this morning, there was 68. And this afternoon, we've added several. I don't know how many has been added, but we were about 2.5 pages. Now we're 3 pages, 3 full pages and a little bit more. And I want to just say thank you so much to the extension agents across the state of Tennessee that have been so generous in helping to partner with us on this process and to provide the assistance that producers may need. In addition, we also have a relationship with local libraries across the state, and each of those libraries has free Wi-Fi and has free available computers. And if you are not able to make it to one of these meetings, you can always go to your local library, and we've communicated information with those folks so that they can also be helpful in assisting you if necessary with your Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program application. So I'm going to cut out of this and go back to our regular page here. So we're back on the home page. From here, what I'd like to do is probably go ahead and, Rachel, if you can kind of get geared up to maybe start looking at the application itself. But first, let me run through the overview. So, or excuse me, the updates. So over here on the side, again, we're going to go to the updates for the 2024-2025 program. And this has lots and lots of information on it. And if you look again at this arrow and the quick summary that's available here, this is going to show you a lot of the changes that have been made relative to the Ag Enhancement program this year. And we're just going to kind of go from top to bottom here. So the Tennessee Ag Enhancement application and program information is all online. So again, we're trying to really focus on the fact that the answer to most of your questions, if not all of your questions, first place we're going to send you is to try to go to the website and look for those answers. Again, as we've started looking through the page, the homepage that's there, all of these are the pieces that are available for you to search and get further into as you have questions. Again, we think we've named them intuitively so that you can find things that are specific that you're looking for. But we'll start here with the application process, and that is what we're going to go over with you in detail. Rachel McKee-Taylor is going to go through an application process with you so you can see what that looks like and understand what you're going to be doing beginning on October the 1st. So this application process is online only. In case we've not been clear enough, there's not going to be a paper application this year. It's all going to be online. And so as a result, there's a couple of things that it's very important for you to make sure that you have access to. And obviously, we would prefer that you try to do that early. We recognize that you all are on a webinar. Many of you all are going to be as tech savvy or more tech savvy than maybe the average producer. And so as a result, we would also ask that if you have friends and family that you think may struggle with an online application, you can also be helpful to them and help share this information with them. We would appreciate that. The key parts that are going to be necessary is, first of all, an email address. Already right now, a very sizable portion of the regular applicants for TAEP already have an email address. But toward the end of the meeting, I am going to show you quickly how to establish an email address if you don't have one. But applicants need to have a working email address that is exclusive to the applicant and not utilized by another TAEP applicant. So you don't only just have to have the email address right now, but really you need to actively be going to that account and looking to see if there's communications that have come from Jan and her staff or from others relative to your application. This will also be the opportunity for you to get a confirmation email once your application has been submitted, and you can know for sure that your application was completed, and you're going to get confirmation of that through your email. Obviously, you need internet access. And again, if you're going to struggle with having that, we've got across the state meetings at co-ops, meetings at farm bureaus, extension offices. There's going to be some activities, conferences, the horticulture conference in Warren County next week. We're going to have folks that are going to be there helping folks and assisting them with their application. So go to that list, look over a place. I promise there's somewhere that's pretty close to you. Again, 70 plus events across the state, and they're dispersed pretty well and pretty evenly across the state. Also need an electronic device, obviously, to make the application. So I would say computers are preferred over smartphones, and that's not necessarily because smartphones won't do the job, because they will. But as many of y'all know, they're very small screens, and sometimes if you're like me, it's easy to make mistakes with numbers when you're on a smartphone. So again, if that's the only device you have available, it obviously can work. We just ask that you be really careful on that. So one of the other major changes that we are looking at this year is educational requirements. In times past, the education requirement has been voluntary, and that really dictated whether you were able to receive a 50% cost share or whether you were at a 35% cost share level. And so this year, the education requirements are going to be something that is not an option. And so several of you already know this, but in case you don't, you may say, well, I don't guess I can apply now because I don't have a master's certification. And there's a number of those, and we'll go over that here in a little bit, what those options are for you. But that's not the case. So you don't have to have the master's certification at the time of application. You simply have to have it by the time of reimbursement. So you have to have it at the time that you're expecting to receive payment. And that gives you a pretty long period of time between now and then to get that accomplished. Also, one other thing that we really want to focus on is that in times past, and because there was such a cattle intensive focus on this program and really has maintained that through the history of the program, but in the beginning we didn't have certifications, and so one of the ways that we were able to sort of verify some type of attainment of education was the BQA. Many of y'all are familiar with the BQA, and I'd say several folks on this call probably been through the BQA a number of times. And as a result, what we've endeavored to do with UT, who provides our master certifications courses, we've asked them to combine the master beef and the BQA. So the BQA is no longer a requirement, but we want to be very careful to make sure that everybody understands that we still really encourage cattle producers to be BQA certified. We feel like the BQA certification, and especially the fact that a large percentage of our producers in Tennessee are BQA certified, helps our reputation, helps the reputation of Tennessee calves and cattle that are going out west being backgrounded or being finished. And so we would encourage you to continue to do that, but we've tried to make it as easy as possible. If you take the if you take the master beef, you're going to automatically become BQA certified, assuming you pass the test, and I think everybody's going to pass the test. Other special requirements, and we're going to talk about the application A and talk about application B. There is a difference between the two, and I think Jan will probably give a little bit of insight about application B, but same thing is required for application B. So it's applicable to both applications. Again, as a result, because we're now requiring the educational certificate, we're only offering the 50% cost share. So the 35% cost share option is no longer available. We do want to go through each of the different producer programs just real quick and talk about a couple of these. Ryan, I'm going to get you to talk about genetics in a second, so be ready for that. But starting off with the beginning farmer option, this is an endeavor that we started a few years back, and it's been an issue that we've tried to refine kind of as time goes on. And this year, for the beginning farmer option, qualifying applicants will be eligible for genetics or livestock equipment. So they'll only be eligible for those two programs. There's a write-up about the beginning farmer option that you can read more details about. If you think it might be applicable to you, I would encourage you to read through that and make sure. One of the major changes with the beginning farmer option this year is that row crop solutions is no longer available under beginning farmer, just because of an extremely low participation. Single digit numbers for the last couple of years. So what we recognize is that most of those beginning farmers had more interest in genetics and the livestock equipment program. So we do have a few changes with genetics, and I want to bring Ryan Betzelberger on. Many of y'all know Ryan, but he is going to run over some of the changes here in genetics. So Ryan, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate this. Appreciate everybody being on this call tonight. One of the overviews I'd like to give about genetics is that Commissioner Hatcher and Andy and Jeff really offered a challenge to our genetics committee with an opportunity to work with Kentucky to seek out a shared set of EBD requirements between the two states. As you all know, we share quite a long border between the two states. You may have heard it said before that if we combine the number of cattle in both states, it would represent the fifth largest number of cattle in fifth largest beef producing state in the nation. So it really behooves us that when we can find win-win opportunities to work together, it's a great opportunity opportunity to do so. One other way to look at it that recently I'd just seen, and this certainly aligns closely with Governor Lee's and certainly Commissioner Hatcher's goals of addressing the land loss issue in the state, which is maybe one of the front and center issues that we need to address, is the density of beef cattle production. And Kentucky would rank number 3 in beef cattle density per square acre. And Tennessee would be number 5. So we have opportunities to really manage our cattle on a per acre basis, and we wanted our requirements to reflect that. So as we went to looking at the requirements moving forward, one of the requirements is that all bulls must have eligible genomic enhanced EPDs, and that will need to happen between October 1st and the date of purchase. That's in order to get the producers a bull that's going to qualify, and that we know will meet in that time frame. All bulls will be reimbursed at the 50% level up to the $2,000 max. We've simplified it down to 2 bull type options. We no longer have the Cavanese option. Reason for that is over the course of many years, when we ran the data, between 0 and 1% of the bulls only qualified under that bull type. There's so many bulls that are 3 generations AI sires that they qualified under the other bull types also. So we're still going to be able to qualify 99 to 100% of the same bulls we've already been qualifying, but the focus is going to be either balanced trait maternal or carcass merit terminal. And that really aligns with what the industry is looking at, and really what our business development and our industry partners are looking at as far as a focus in your cow herd. The biggest thing is it is the buyer's responsibility to communicate with the seller prior to purchase to ensure that the bulls meet all TAP eligibility requirements. Not a big deal if you're working with a reputable breeder. A lot of the good family operations and people who've been doing this for a long time are probably going to take care of that for you. Best, just boots on the ground. It's probably the best option to ask that a bull producer be willing to give you a turnkey genetics reimbursement at the same time that you're going to give him a check. So as always, my contact information is on the website. Sure welcome any calls or emails. We'll be happy to walk you through things, but we'll look forward to working with you all this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ryan. And if you couldn't tell, Ryan's very passionate about genetics. He knows a lot about it, and he is very, very helpful if you do need to reach out to him and have a conversation about any of the genetics program. A couple other changes. Something that I think will be a delight to many is the fact that we are going to offer this year hay equipment and hay storage in the same year. This is something that Commissioner Hatcher and Jeff and I have talked about quite a bit, because we recognize that we really don't want to be the ones who decide for you which year you're going to buy a piece of hay equipment or build a hay storage facility. And so as a result, we've been able to work it out from a budget standpoint. It looks like to be able to offer both. With the hay equipment, one of the concessions to add hay equipment in along with hay storage each year is that we have made a change to the minimum requirement that is subject to hay equipment, and that is that the minimum requirement is 100 acres of hay production, and that's first cutting only. So that means if you're cutting 40 acres of hay 3 times a year, that's not going to qualify. Need to be cutting at least 100 acres of hay first cutting to qualify for hay equipment. And the acreage can be owned or leased. It needs to be in Tennessee. And a caveat that has been applied here is that the applicant may be required to list the location of acres at the time of reimbursement. So this is not something that we are going to say as a general rule is going to be applied, but if there's any question, if there's any doubt about the applicant and the number of acres of hay that they're producing, that may be a requirement. For hay storage, there's still a lifetime limit for 3 structures, 3 reimbursements. So this is something that hopefully with time we might be able to add to that lifetime limit. That's not a promise. That's just something that we'd like to do. Hopefully that can change at some point in the future. But one of the major changes relative to hay storage this year is that hay storage is only going to cost share on standalone center structures only. So additions in the form of side sheds or extensions in length will not be eligible. So the minimum size requirement is also changed to 1,200 square feet. It does have to have a 14-foot eave. Square footage will be calculated post to post. So there's a couple other pieces of information here that you might want to make sure that you're clear about before you pursue a hay storage structure. I will say though, I think that this is one of the parts of this program that has really fundamentally changed cattle production, livestock production as a general rule in the state. The more hay that we can keep dry and the more hay that we can keep in high quality, I think the better we're doing for the livestock markets here in the state of Tennessee. And I think many of y'all would agree with that. Herd health, not a lot of changes here. Still a lifetime limit for 3 reimbursements, reimbursements based on a per head amount. Also, the livestock equipment, a couple of changes here. One that hopefully will be very exciting to many of you all is that we have now added rotary cutters, pasture clippers to livestock equipment. That's needs to be a minimum of an 8-foot cutter. In my opinion, I think a rotary cutter is probably the best pasture management tool that a farmer can own. And that is something that I think we've agreed on here within the department. And so we're happy to introduce that as a new item that will be eligible under livestock equipment. Gates, the added a minimum purchase of 3 gates for corral panels, a minimum of 10, and those do need to be classified as heavy duty in the description. For trailers, there's also a couple of other details relative to title requirements. There is some minimums that are required again for trailers. It's 16-foot minimum, has to have a cut gate, and must be titled, not tagged, in the applicant's name at the time of reimbursement. So there's, again, more opportunities here. We're trying to evolve the program over time to make sure that we're meeting the needs that producers are asking us for. Livestock solutions, no-till pasture drill that is eligible in this program is we've reduced the size actually from 10-foot minimum to an 8-foot minimum for the working width, and the drill must have a serial number to be eligible. So we had some folks specifically in East Tennessee who had asked and said, hey, this doesn't always work well for some of the roads and the hills and hollers that we have to get in and out of. Is there a way for us to reduce that size to an 8-foot minimum? We agreed with that. Growing up in East Tennessee, I recognize that that is definitely a need in some places. With a hay wrapper, this is a new addition as well, and this must be an inline hay wrapper. So single bale hay wrappers are not eligible at this time. So that's if you're looking to buy a hay wrapper, that's going to be an inline wrapper. For poultry grower, a couple of changes here. If you're planning to apply for the poultry grower program, you probably want to familiarize yourself and read in on that program very well. To a lot of you, it won't be applicable. This is for commercial growers. And so the following items have been removed. So motors, feedline gearboxes, ventilations, you can kind of read through there and see there's been some changes here. I want to make sure that you're aware of those if that's a program that you're interested in. And producer diversification. This is one that is what we would consider to be application B. And Jan, I'm going to ask you to kind of come online real quick and cover the producer diversification program and any changes you want to talk about.
Thank you, Andy. Producer diversification application B is Andy stated. It is a competitive evaluation program, which makes it uniquely different from application A. So there is a proposal involved, and we do require you to do your homework and have cost quotes as well. So those points that are mentioned there within the quick summary are all very important, but the thing that's most important to acknowledge about producer diversification this year is the online application, which we will be covering a little bit later. But it is so important to go to the producer diversification overview page and check out the producer diversification proposal worksheet. That shows you the questions that will be asked within the application. And it's just important that you prepare prior to applying and do your research. This is a great opportunity. There's 6 sectors involved in this program: agritourism, fruit and vegetable, honeybee, organics, value added, and horticulture industry. For value added, you need to be the producer of the product that goes into that value added product. So a good example of that is being a dairy producer and producing cheese, or being a cattle producer and having a retail meat business. And a lot of opportunities. Sometimes the participation in this program does involve conversations more than just the basics. It's unique to each operation, but a lot of opportunity there. And please just take a moment to check out the various sectors. You can only, it's producer diversification. You can mix and match the projects within each sector as long as you qualify. And you can apply if you qualify for both application A and application B. That's a question that is often asked. So I just wanted to mention that at this time. And I'm just going to hand it back to Andy because I could talk all day about producer diversification.
Thank you very much, Jan. We do need to cut through the rest of these programs pretty quick because we've got a lot more information we want to share with you. But for row crop solutions, we've also reduced the no-till pasture drill from 15-foot minimum to a 12-foot working width. This drill must also have a serial number on it. We've also made a change with transport augers. It's eligible as new equipment only due to the verification issues that sometimes are present with used transport augers. And then we've also removed GPS as an eligible item, basically due to the verification requirement for 5 years. Oftentimes what we're seeing is that GPS is becoming antiquated and being replaced, being sold off, not really eligible for 5 years. And so as a result, kind of keeping up with the changes within equipment that utilizes GPS technology, we're just going to pull that out. There's plenty of other opportunities within row crop solutions. Swine producer, this is also for commercial growers. You want to read the qualifications for this program. This will be for, folks that are producing swine at a pretty large level. Again, if this is something you're interested in, make sure you understand the program, and it will be a great opportunity for you if you're a commercial swine producer. Working structures and fence line systems. This program has continued to kind of change and evolve over time. If this is a program that you're interested in, I just encourage you to, again, read the details, make sure that you are laying out this structure or this fence line in a way that it's going to qualify for reimbursement. And with that, I'm going to go back here. And so we are back over here on the side. At this point, what I'd like to do though is break. And Rachel, if you could walk us through, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to pass that over to you. If you can walk us through the application. And this is the first live demonstration that we've done. So y'all should kind of feel lucky.
Okay, can you see my screen?
We can see it and we can hear you.
Making sure I'm on the right one. So this is what we call the landing page. So when you visit our homepage, which is where Andy's been showing you everything, there'll be a big red apply, click here to apply button. You won't miss it. It's a huge red button. When you click the button, this will be the screen that it brings you to. We've got a no and a yes. So no, if you're new to TAEP, you're going to stay on the no. If you don't know your TPN number, you'll click no. If you know your TPN number, but you don't have an account set up, you're going to click no. The demonstrations we walk through, we're going to stay with no. If you've been with us before and you have an online account, you will enter your TPN and password. The application will pre-populate your name and address, phone number, email, just basic information, not number of head or anything from previous, just basic contact information. So we're going to go through application A first. So again, we're going to stay on no. We're just going to click application A. And this is where the application will start. There should be 2 more important notices that we're trying to get added. So right now, it's recommended to complete the application on a computer because it may not be compatible with your mobile device. There will also be a message stating that there's a timeout feature. You'll have 2 hours to complete this application. I promise it will not take anywhere close to 2 hours. You should be able to do this in about 5 minutes. And also, oh, you won't be able to save. There is no save feature. So if you start it, you will want to finish it, or if you have to come back, you're going to lose everything and have to start all over. So you're going to click the start button. Basic contact information. Everywhere you see an asterisk, that's a required field. It notates that down here at the bottom of the screen. So name, address. If you have a different mailing address and home address, make sure you list both. If they're the same, you can check this little box and it'll copy everything down to the next line. Enter your email twice. That way, some people type real fast and we got a lot of bounce backs for email. So we've asked for this confirmation email just so you have to type it twice to make sure you know you spelt everything right and you get the confirmation email because that's the most important when applying online. And then either a home or cell phone. You don't have to put both, but you can. Then you'll just go to the next button, your farming history. So this is the year you started farming. For some, if you don't know the exact year, it might be the year that you first started filing your Schedule F. That's okay to put that year down in that box. You do have to list the 4-digit year, not just 20 for farming for 20 years. You need to put the actual year. If you know your TPN number, you can put it in there. It's a 7-digit number. If you don't know it, just skip it, leave it blank. If you're new, you don't have to type new, just leave it blank. If you are a dairy producer and you are permitted by TDA, you will have a dairy permit number and you'll list that here. If it does not apply to you, just leave that field blank and click next. Most important field, or one of the most important fields, list your number of head or acres. If you've got cattle, row crop, and hay, make sure you just go ahead and give us all of it, even if you're just applying for livestock equipment. And row crop and hay doesn't matter. Just go ahead and give us your acreage and number of head for everything. Swine, that's just if you're commercial swine, put in your numbers there. If you're commercial poultry, you'll put in your numbers there. If the commercial part doesn't apply to you, just leave those fields blank. No need to put zeros in, just if it doesn't apply, just don't put a number. And then just to reiterate up here at the top, head of livestock is your maximum number of single type, regardless of sex or age, at one time during the last 12 months. So that's cows, bulls, calves. If you've got 15 cows, they all had calves. That's 15 calves, so 30 head. You might only have 15 on the farm today, but you've had 30 in the last 12 months. You're going to list 30. Same with goats and sheep. Same with row crop acres or hay acres. If you think you're going to get more row crop or hay acres, don't count them until you have them. So it's your highest acreage during the last 12 months. The beginning farmer option, just because you're new to TAP does not make you a beginning farmer. And just because you've been farming less than 10 years does not make you a beginning farmer. Make sure you read the beginning farmer option requirements to see if you qualify as a beginning farmer for TAP purposes. It's going to default to no. If you are, just click the drop down, change it to yes. The program choice, your cost share request, this is a list of all the programs that are eligible. If you were a beginning farmer and you selected yes, you're only going to have a drop down of your two options of genetics and livestock equipment. So you can only select one program from this list. So make sure you have read the program requirements, make sure you are eligible for the program, and the item you wish to purchase is included in that program. If for some reason you select a program and you move your mouse, or you think you selected something and you got off a line, your confirmation email will indicate the program you selected. So just verify that in your confirmation. If you selected the wrong program, please reply to the confirmation email and let us know to change your program request. You cannot go back and make changes to the application once it's been submitted, and please do not submit a second application with the corrected program. Just let us know. The applicant agreement, you'll want to read through the applicant agreement. In order to submit your application, you do have to check the box saying you read and understand. Then the submit button will change colors. Once you submit your application, if you do not get a good screen, you will still see the application. Fields will turn red, telling you what to go back and add. And it will also list at the bottom where you need to go back and what attention is needed. On our main page, I'll show you what it actually looks like here. What the screen will look like if you get, let's see, let me find it. Hold on just a second. Where am I going, Jan? The picture of the good screen, once they've submitted their application, the screenshot. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, let's say it's under applying.
Forget where I am sometimes. I meant to have this one already saved up. So if you submit your application and everything is good, then your screen will look like this. And then it will say cost your application A, proof of applying, confirmation email, program selection, and print a copy, and give you the option to print a copy of your application. That way you've got a copy of it. If you're doing it on a mobile device, if you're unable to print, maybe just take a screenshot of that just so you've got it and you can review it. It will have your number of head that you listed and the program that you applied for, as well as the program maximum amount. And that's all I've got with application A. Let's see here. Do we need to do B? Okay, let me bring that one over. Okay, so same screen, you click the big red button if you're going to apply for B. We're going to use the example of no, and you'll just go to application B. Same thing, you'll have it's important to do this on a computer. Then they'll also see the timeout feature. You'll have 2 hours to complete this, and there is no save feature. Most everything, all this is the same information as A, name, address, phone number, email, your farming history, your TPN number, and then here's where you'll just select your industry sector. It will only let you select one sector, so just whichever one's most prominent to your operation. Then if you've got any previous history with the department, either with TAEP, with the Ag Enterprise Fund, or Ag Track, just check if it applies to you. If it doesn't, just leave them blank. The most important part is the proposal questionnaire. The proposal template is listed under the producer diversification page. We highly recommend you go and you download that proposal, type in all your answers. Then when you come to the application, it'll just be merely copying and pasting from your proposal into here. So don't wait till the last minute to do the application and then come in here and try to start typing away, because we don't want you to get sidetracked and leave and come back and then it's timed out or something's happened. Just please download that proposal, read through it, answer the questions as best as you can, and then copy and paste them in. For the course event, if you don't have a master yet or you haven't done any special requirements, just leave that section blank because they're not required until time of reimbursement. Then you'll want to answer the other questions that are available. Then your cost quotes. So you're going to list out all of your quotes for every item. There's the button will just let you keep adding for however many items you're requesting. Then we have an upload feature. So you will upload all of your cost quotes. So you'll just do choose file. All of your files will come up. And then just select the one that applies, or multiples. If you select the wrong file, there will be an X beside each file, so you can delete a file if you accidentally upload something that you didn't want to. And then we have a place, this field is not required, it's optional, additional supporting documentation. So support materials to further illustrate your project if you've got designs or diagrams, dimensions, or if you need to send us photos of what you currently have, you can do that in additional supporting documents. Then click next, and same thing, applicant agreement, check the I have read and submit. And then again, if you left something blank, it's going to alert you to go back. If you did it right, you'll get the same screen I showed earlier, giving you the option to print a copy of your application. I know that was fast, but it's very basic and very simple. It shouldn't be intimidating, or at least we don't think it is. So I will stop sharing my screen.
All right, thank you, Rachel. And again, we're going to post this on the main page. I'm going to start sharing my screen again, so you can see again here that right here on this main landing page, it'll be posted here under application assistance. That'll also be, again, that list of producer events. This is a reference to the webinar that you're on right now. There's also another webinar that's going to take place on October the 3rd. So it's going to be in the midst of the application period. So if you find yourself, kind of in a position where you want to come back and ask some more questions, you have another opportunity to do that as well. And we'll talk about our contact information as well. We'll kind of end on that note. One other thing I did want to make mention of is when you land on this homepage, when the application is open and available, that will be posted right here. So below this group of pictures that's scrolling through, you'll have the application button. It'll be enormous. It'll be very similar to this right here, but it'll be up here at the top of the screen. You'll just click on that. That's where you'll start the application process. Also, wanted to make mention of the beginning farmer option when Rachel was showing that process, and it looks like we're trying to attract folks to be beginning farmers, and then you say, well, why did we only have access to 2 programs? Again, livestock equipment and genetics. And the reason for that is that the thresholds for the number of head that are required, livestock, cattle, sheep, and goats, those are reduced. And so that's the reason why we're limiting the eligibility to those 2 programs, but we're reducing the thresholds to get into the program. So if that wasn't clear, I wanted to make that clear as well. So we're going to go over here. We kind of talked about applying for TAEP. One part we need to focus on is on applicant eligibility. So there are eligibility requirements for both application A and application B, and they are different. So we'll click on application A. So citizenship, I would hope that this would be something that would just be, taken for granted. But unfortunately, we have to make sure that you are aware of this, that you have to be a citizen of the United States or lawfully present at the time of application. For age, you got to be at least 18 years old at the time of application. Not only do you have to be a citizen of the United States, but you also have to be a resident of the state of Tennessee. And there are ways that we can confirm that with documentation, such as your driver's license and through other established residency documentation. The federal IRS Schedule F applicants must have filed the Schedule F profit and loss for agriculture within the last 2 years. So in this case, it'd be 22 or 23 or 22 and 23. But that is one of the requirements. Also, farm operation participation. So applicants must be operating a farm in Tennessee. So to operate, we define as that means that you share in the expenses, the profits, and or the management of the farm production. So this needs to be a statement that identifies you as being a part of the farm operation. You don't simply own land or have, an unrelated interest in the agricultural endeavor. You are part of the one that's doing the farming. Also, we do try to focus on only one individual involved in the farm operation can apply for TAUP application A. So and we know this is very common. It's common even in my own household. Senior and junior have 100 cows. If I was eligible to apply and I applied and said, hey, I've got 100 head of cattle, and me and my son are operating for all practical purposes the same operation. We're sharing expenses. We're sharing production practices. Pretty much we've got one operation. Two of us are involved. Instead of me claiming 100 cows and Andrew Jr. claiming 100 cows, the same 100 cows, in essence, we need to ask that you all be clear with us to say, hey, actually, we share this operation and only one of you needs to be applying in that instance. Also, the minimum livestock head and acreage requirements, and do want to look right here. Again, when you see these arrows, these are cheat sheets that I would encourage you to take a look at. I'm going to click on this one, and this is going to show us for 24 and 25 what the requirements are for each of the programs. So if we look down here for Dairy Solutions, say I want to be a part of this Dairy Solutions program, I can have 30 head of cattle, or I can have 50 head of sheep and goats, and I qualify. For genetics, similar. Livestock equipment, similar. Working structure, similar. Hay storage. So we look across, and hay storage has got a couple of allowances, but what we see is hay equipment. The only one that's available here is 100 acres. So you have to have 100 acres of first cutting hay. So if you have questions about what are the requirements and the eligibility for each of these different programs, this is your cheat sheet. And the beginning farmer option, you can see how they vary, the requirements vary for cattle, sheep, and goats. In addition to this, also the years of involvement in agriculture are going to be applicable as well. So we'll go back to, if I can get back to it, we'll go back to the original page here. So back to eligibility. We also have application B, and Jan, I'll have you jump in here on this. I know from previous, it's pretty much all the same, but I think there might be a couple of caveats you want to address.
Yes, for application B, it's basically the same as A, except for we require, instead of like a minimum number of head or minimum number of acres, the producer must meet the individual sector requirement. So within the various sectors, there are certain requirements that must be met. For instance, like within the honeybee sector, they have to have a minimum number of experience and a minimum number of hives. Also, like for agritourism, we require the producer to be involved in farm education, farm education related to production agriculture or farm activities like pick your own, or like corn mazes, or maybe farm purchases of products that are raised there on the farm. So there's specific requirements within each of the sector, and that's how it differs from application A. And those requirements are listed at the top of each of the sector pages within producer diversification.
And we can run through that real quick here in a minute, but we talked about education requirements. And so we have for application A, we have a list here, and again, another cheat sheet opportunity. And if you have questions, and I've been trying to watch the chat to make sure that, you know, I'm kind of tracking with what the questions are. In this case, this is one of the best documents on here. It is, I think, pretty intuitive. Again, if you want to look for which of these master courses correspond with which program is available. I think this makes it pretty clear. Again, kind of noted for application A, noted for application B. And if you say, hey, I'd really, you know, I'd love to do the genetics program, and I think of this list of different programs, Master Beef looks most engaging to me. So if I click Master Beef, it's going to pull up the Tennessee Master Beef Producer Program. It's going to give me an overview about this program. It's going to tell me what I'm going to learn from this program. And then it's going to direct me to my local county extension office to find your extension agent and ask when the program is going to be available and where it's going to be available. Again, as Ryan spoke about previously, some of these are now online. Some are in person. And again, Jan is referencing, I think, the extension offices and the ability to contact your local extension office to help identify those master's programs. So again, Jan and her team have done a phenomenal job putting these little cheat sheets together here for you. And so you can look through there. I'm not going to go through all the details. You can see for application A, and you can also see for application B what the requirements are. Reimbursement requirements. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here right now. This is one of those places where it would be best if you would go through and read the information for yourself and make sure that your purchases are going to qualify. So receipts dated prior to October the 1st are not eligible. That's one of the most important things. So if you've already built a grain bin, if you've already purchased an animal, if you've already purchased a squeeze chute, that's not eligible. So all items, regardless of back order status, must be purchased by the program reimbursement deadline. Few other pieces of information down through there. So receipts must be in the name of the applicant approved for the cost share funding. We don't want to mix up, you know, so and so bought this, but I'm claiming that I bought it. It needs to be very clear. There are some other considerations. And Jan, do you want to jump in here real quick and give any other specifics? Maybe something that comes to mind?
In regards to reimbursement, first of all, it's most important if you're approved for the program, but the rule of thumb is always make sure that you save your receipt, make sure that your receipts are dated and have a description of what the cost is. It's also extremely important, because this is a cost share program, to keep all your documentation in one area, and to try to pay for projects using a traceable method of payment, such as cashier's checks, credit card, or financing. Just something to be able to prove that you did pay for the items. That's becoming more and more important, especially when you run a business. Other tidbits is, so a lot of people are asked about, they apply, what's the next step? Is you will receive approval notification. We try to get that in the mail no later than mid-December, and the approval letters are followed by a reimbursement packet, and you will not be able to submit for reimbursement until you receive your packet. Your reimbursement packet includes all your reimbursement documentation, reimbursement instructions, and other important information regarding the program. So those are usually mailed mailed out by the end of January. And just take a moment to read through, like Andy said, everything that's on this page, just because it is a cost share program, and one of the goals there is to get that reimbursement payment. So making sure you pay attention to the details of the reimbursement requirements is extremely important, along with the verification requirements as well, just because these items or structures are supposed to have a 5-year verification period in which you must comply. In other words, if you build a hay storage barn, it needs to remain for the purposes of hay storage for the next 5 years, and same with equipment and other items you may purchase and be reimbursed for within this cost share program.
Good deal. We'll move on from reimbursement requirements to verification requirements. This is a program that we have had a great deal of success in making sure that members of the General Assembly and that, several governors now have been able to have assurance that the verification and the expenditures through this program have been legitimate and have been verified through a couple of different types of processes. The basic requirements here is that once an investment has been cost shared on by the state, that the item will remain, in the program and for its intended use for a minimum of 5 years continuously. There's more information here that you will want to check in on. Obviously, we have the ability to engage in site visits, and many of you have probably had a site visit. I don't want anybody to believe that this is somehow or another some kind of big brotherly type activity. It's really not. We're just making sure that the hay structure that was built is being employed for that purpose. The squeeze chute that was purchased is still there and still being used. Things of that nature. So, in fact, I think some producers would say that the site visit, especially if Dan Bond goes, is quite an enjoyable experience actually as well. And several of our animal health techs, and actually I saw some of them had joined us earlier. Ben, I saw you on here. They have also been extremely great about going out and helping us with those verifications as well. Failure to comply with all the expectations and aspects of this cost share, can result in denial. And in fact, unfortunately, we do have folks that try to hoodoo us and engage in falsifying and fraudulent, misleading information, and that can, result in civil litigation and or criminal prosecution. Again, that's not where we want to go. We know the vast majority of folks that are going to be participants have no intention of falsifying or being fraudulent, but for those who are, watch it. All right. So again, we talked about the 50% cost share and maximum reimbursement. There's more information here that you can read about that. But what I really wanted to show you was the reimbursement maximums for this year's program, which I think are pretty generous. And we're hoping that over time we can continue to maintain these. We'd love to increase them, but the popularity of the program has forced us to some degree to keep these minimums a little bit lower, maximums a little bit lower than what we would like to, but we do have to ensure that we have enough money in the program to meet the demands of the program. You all have probably recognized this by now, but there are, again, a number of programs within Application A. And then in producer diversification, there's also the overview here that allows you to see the aspects of this program as well. And so you have these different sectors that are described or have been previously described by Jan. So again, we have gone over quite a bit of information here with you and recognize that that this is a lot. So I'm sorry that we've had to spend so much time talking, but in essence, I think you're seeing the breadth of the program. Jan, do you want to touch on the account portal real quick?
Yes, thank you, Andy. So the TEP account portal, do not think about the account portal when you go to apply. One of the big misconceptions is a lot of individuals think that the online applications are featured within the account portal. They are not. Basically, the account portal is a management tool for individuals once they're approved for TAP. It's a place where you can go and you can view your history within TAP, and we also allow you to submit a reimbursement request, upload it within the portal. So it's just really important to know that the live links to the application will be featured on the main page, like Andy mentioned. Basically, there will be a new graphic right under that picture slideshow that says apply now, TAP application open, and it'll entice you to click on that red button. So the portal is a good tool, but it's not a tool for applying.
All right. Thanks for
And
clearing that up.
just a few other things, just because based upon some of the messages. So producer diversification within the sectors, you can mix and match projects from the different sectors as long as you are meet the requirements of each of the sectors. So for instance, if you're a honeybee producer and you're also a fruit and vegetable producer, you could apply for an air blast sprayer for your pumpkins, and then apiary expansion for your honeybee business as well. So we do allow you to mix and match in that regard. And one other thing, I think we, let me see if I can find it here. And the team might have answered that question. So very important, all the education, the majority of our educational courses are offered through the UT Extension office. Producer diversification is a little unique in the sense that we do have a special requirements list that does offer some courses and events to qualify for ag enhancement credit. The challenge with those events is that there's not very many of them each year. For instance, every year, the Pick Tennessee Conference, which is held typically, or will be held next February in Franklin, at the Franklin Marriott. And that is a particular conference that brings together various industry sectors, from the agritourism group to the wine growers to the honeybee to the fruit and vegetable. It's a great networking opportunity, and it's also a great opportunity to meet a lot of representatives from the various industry of agriculture as well. But if you attend that conference is a special requirement. Also, we work closely with the Center for Profitable Agriculture and other educational opportunities like Farmers Market Boot Camp or boot camps and courses like that. However, the majority of our individuals will obtain a master certification, and for the shelf life of the certifications, like Andy mentioned, they do last 3 to 4 years depending upon when you earn the certificate, and same with the courses. Whenever you attend the course, it's based upon a year. So for this coming application program cycle, we will be accepting any certificate issued in 2021 or after. And on our educational requirement page, we have a handy little there is a little table that I always like to point people out to, especially in regards to their master. So on the educational requirement, if you go to the application name, master certification, there is a table at the bottom of the page that kind of explains the program year and the master certificate eligibility. And that's just really handy to see. So basically, if you've earned a certificate this year in 2024, it's going to be good through 2027, 2028 program cycle. So that is good to know. Just know that education never expires, but the certificates are only good for a certain period of time when it comes to TAP. And also, just know that we are very user friendly, or at least we think we're very user friendly when it comes to reaching out to us to ask any questions regarding the program. So that's where always keep in mind with the contact TAP. we're small but mighty right now, but we are here to assist you with your questions. This is an outstanding program to be involved in. We're very grateful for your participation, and please don't hesitate to reach out, and because verifying something is so key when it comes to anything that deals with money. So they always say trust but verify, and this program's been around long enough to be familiar with a lot of people, but the items may change from year to year, and the requirements may change from year to year. So it's always important that you just take a moment to verify what is the current protocol in regards to the program.
Agreed, Jan. Again, as Jan was talking about contact information, each one of the programs has a specific email and a phone number that you can reach out to. This information is listed. I would encourage you, however, to make sure that if you have a question, to save yourself time and also to save Jan and her, as she mentioned, relatively small staff at this time, time on the phone. Try to check the website first and try to see if you can navigate an answer to your question. It's fast and easy for you, and it also saves some time for our staff. But if you get caught in a situation where you need help, don't be afraid to reach out and contact Jan or the TAP staff or myself. Last thing I wanted to go over real quick is if you are having difficulty or it seems difficult for you to have an email, you don't have an email currently, what I wanted to do is just show you very quickly, and I'm not endorsing Microsoft here. There's a lot of other services out there. If you have high-speed internet in your home, whoever your provider is also going to make an email address available to you. And I would encourage you, and we have seen a huge expansion in broadband capacity across the state of Tennessee in recent years. So if you don't have an email address and that's something that's a concern to you, reach out to your internet supplier. They can help you with this process, but I can also show you very quickly, even with mine now as I'm recognizing it, misspelled Google search here. You noticed, Rachel. A couple spelling errors there. If you will just simply search on Bing or on Google or whatever else, free Microsoft Exchange email. And look, you can even do it while it's misspelled. And what it's going to pull up is this website right here. That's the one that I'd clicked on there. And so the reason why I think it might be easiest for you to go with an Exchange email address, which is offered by Microsoft, formerly known as a Hotmail address, is because meetings like this, so this Teams meeting that we're using, coordinates very well with the Outlook calendar and the whole Microsoft experience. And it is generally the most used email service out there. But there's also Gmail. Again, there's your internet provider. There's lots of different providers out there. And simply by clicking this create free account and then going through selecting an email address, a name that will be uniquely identified and will point back to you, that is how I would encourage you to establish an email address if that is necessary for you, if you don't already have one of those. If you have issues with creating an email address, we would encourage you to look online at resources. Extension can be helpful in this regard. Also, your local library. There could be others that can help you. All those are great resources, but I'll be honest, what we see most often and what we see most often with the greatest amount of success is reaching out to friends, family, and especially grandkids. That seems to be a really good option to help people set up not only their email address, but also get it so that they can access their email by computer or by phone. It is surprisingly easy nowadays how the technology has changed, and you can make access to your email address very, very quick and very, very easy. So with that, I believe that that's kind of where we want to conclude this evening on our meeting. I do want to say that in the future, we've taken this step to go to an all online application process, and we intend to continue that throughout time. So we may continue to offer other opportunities that would allow for you to not only apply but engage with the program in an online manner. And hopefully we can continue to develop new tools that'll be easier and more user-friendly as time goes on. So with that, we're going to stick around for a couple of minutes and allow folks to continue to put questions in the chat. And once we kind of see that wane off, then we're going to sign off. I'm already seeing several folks signing out right now. But again, want to say thank you. Appreciate you all joining us this evening. And we'll try to address some questions here as they come into the chat. And Jan, Rachel, Dan, Ryan, have we been able to keep up pretty much with the questions in the chat?
Ryan and Jan are doing a really good job
Okay,
keeping up, I think.
good
Yeah,
deal. It
and
doesn't look
But I
like.
mean, if somebody sees something that hasn't been answered, feel free to ask the question again. But yeah, it's hard. They're coming in pretty hot and heavy sometimes.
Good deal. Yeah, JC, appreciate you too. I saw you even trying to look up one of your folks' last names to check on her certification. So thank you.
Yeah. And if there's anybody that has not applied for TAP before, just know that you will not have you will not be assigned a TAP producer number until after we process your application for the first time. So that's kind of one of the reasons why you do not have to have an account set up to apply for TAP. Our online applications accept the returning customer along with somebody that is brand new to the program. And
All right, we're shedding folks pretty quick. I don't see a whole lot of additional comments coming in, so I think we'll go ahead and sign off. But TDA staff, thank y'all very much. Extension and other folks, we appreciate y'all joining us, and our applicants, we appreciate you and value you, and hope that you will have a favorable experience this time around. So thank you all very much.
Hey, Andy, there's some more questions coming in if you want to leave us on to finish those. Is
I'll
that all
leave
right?
it. Yep,
Thank
that'll
you.
be fine.
Thank you.
We did have a question regarding alternatives to the Schedule F. So the Schedule F, profit or loss from farming, is a eligibility requirement for both application A and application B. We will accept Schedule K and Schedule C if your operation utilizes those. Just as always, just keep in mind, make sure that you are a producer producing something to apply for producer diversification. So as long as you are a producer, you will be allowed to apply.
And I think that might be all of them. I think we had several chats come in. I think we had 3 or 4 or 5 chats come in about the same time, as why I kind of held things up there. But hey, certainly if anybody else has another chat to come in, go ahead and send that through here. But otherwise, I think we'll get ready to sign off. Oh, there's another one. We will hold on and get that.
In regards to the Schedule F, so the Schedule F is required, it's a basic eligibility, and you have to either have filed in 2023 or 2022 for this upcoming application period. The only exception that we have for that is under our beginning farmer option, which is under application A. And if you've started your operation in 2024, we do kind of waive the Schedule F, even though we may ask to see the Schedule F before reimbursement, depending upon which program you apply for. So check out the beginning farmer option if you fall into that category. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
All right. And I think that one's it. So once again, thank you everyone for being on here. Once again, our contact information is on the website if you need that, and probably a lot of you might have our contact information. So hope you find the information on the website if you need it, and we are here if you need anything additional. So we will look forward to working with each one of you this year. And as you all know, each one of you are the backbone behind the program. So we appreciate your participation and look forward to this coming year. Thank you all. Have a great night.